Good evening. This is Your Vote 2017, a closer look at the national elections. I'm Neville Choi, here with you again, along with my co-host, Titi Gabi. Good evening, Tati. Titi.
Good evening, Neville.
Titi, yes. We are just about 3 days away from the official start to polling. It's a crucial time for any election and a crucial time for voters, as they settle on who they prefer to represent them in Parliament for the next 5 years. Joining us on the program this evening is Chief Ombudsman Commissioner Michael Dick. Sir, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Neville.
So the Ombudsman Commission is playing a larger role in this election rather than the ones in the recent past. Why is that?
Thank you, Neville. You know, the leaders in our government system, in our current Westminster democratic system that we adopt, leaders are the most important people who make all the decisions for the country. Mm-hmm. And so we, from the Ombudsman Commission's perspective, we feel that we have that constitutional responsibility to promote and protect and guide and help even the voters to make that important decision in electing the kind of leader or leaders that would take this country forward in a more meaningful way. So it is an important role that the Ombudsman Commission sees to play, especially in this once in 5 years time opportunity.
In a nutshell, what has been your message to the candidates and to voters?
We have conducted an intensive awareness, and we have obviously gone through every corner of the country to carry out awareness on the kind of leaders that they need to look out for and vote. So the kind of leaders we have educated the voters to look out for are persons with, you know, high levels of integrity and high levels of attributes such as honesty and transparency, fairness, and servitude. You know, they must be able to have these important leadership attributes that is necessary of a leader. So we have been educating the public, the voters. We have traveled to, like I said, almost every corner of the country. They've gone by boats, they've gone by choppers, they've walked, they've driven, and we have done that awareness, and we believe the people are well informed right now to see the kind of leader that they will have to vote, knowing that that decision is important. Yeah.
And what kind of reception has your office been receiving, especially from village people?
Oh, the kind of response that we get from the people have been diverse. Some are saying that, you know, they've come up, you know, when they see that as an opportunity to raise some of the issues, like saying that, you know, we have never had that opportunity to meet with the, you know, government bodies. So when we went out there, they saying they even raised all kinds of issues that are not even related to what we went for, and like they have not seen roads, they have not seen the kind of services they've expected and hear about. And sometimes, you know, some of these people would be asking so many questions about the roles and functions of ombudsman. So, but importantly, the whole reason for our going out was to assist them to vote, especially in this season, look out for the kind of people whom they should be already aware of, people who should be living with them, people they should know who are capable of leading them for the next 5 years.
Okay, well, we went out, and our cameras went out, and we spoke to people and asked them what they knew about the Ombudsman Commission and what they knew about the work that the Ombudsman Commission does. And here's what they had to say.
In Port Moresby, Medang and Mount Hagen, there have been similar words. People don't know who the Ombudsman Commission is. Worst of all, they don't understand the functions of a watchdog that's supposed to check and balance politicians and bureaucrats. In downtown Port Moresby, the collective views are concerning.
Not very much about the role of the Ombudsman. I don't really know it. So would you explain a little bit and then I go further on it?
Look at the money.
In Mount Hagen, people have no clue at all.
This is the name Ombudsman Commission. Me savelo this the name, but me no savelo when I walk, also walking inside of this country. Me no got savelo this walk blonger. When I walk also walking, me no got savelo.
Arem tas all na walk. Osemna mi plan on looking walk longer.
So me arem opposition commission. Me arem was a story as an walks a come was tas all. Me no sa when walks around long and all man yet sa walk stop lab wal sabe. One something ko. Tas all me plus stabli and plus sampla me plus sa yet.
People, eligible voters, are going to the polls not knowing the role of the Ombudsman Commission. But collectively, from three major centers, despite not knowing the full role of the Ombudsman, people agree that the OC was right to freeze district and provincial funds accounts to stop the misuse of development funds during elections.
Private all man Mary, elective all again. It's like kind so. Me lo tinti plomi ami good la oli stop him.
All stop him good la. Because nungu talk sim about use him lo make him own also make him all collective all na make him use money lo make him all something drive him all lo about so go and gunche lo this la sit back so all stop him good la.
But there are some who feel it wasn't the right move by the OC.
Stop my stop because of this only been stop him sla money they print him sla account law government. That's why some of the payments will not get through. It's affecting the business houses.
In Bougainville, people say it was good to freeze the accounts to stop the rampant corruption that has been seen in the past. But there are still bills to pay, and service delivery must continue to the people.
Chief, does it concern you that people are telling us that they don't hear much about the Ombudsman Commission? They don't know that you exist to some extent and what your role is.
Well, it is to me a serious concern as well. And I'm sure not everybody, but I believe most Papua New Guineans are fully aware of the roles of the Ombudsman Commission and what it does. And unfortunately, there are some people who are not aware of what we do. But for the sake of those who may not be aware, if I can briefly say, the roles and the functions of the Ombudsman Commission. Ombudsman Commission is the state's anti-corruption agency. And under the law, the Ombudsman Commission is established by the Constitution to actually has two roles. One is to conduct investigations into government bodies, which are seen to, be mismanaging, or if there is issues of abuse of rights of officers and all these things. This is the traditional role of the Ombudsman Commission to check on government bodies, government organizations that for the purpose of ensuring good governance. There's another important function of the Ombudsman Commission is the leadership code that the Ombudsman Commission enforces. That is to oversight and to provide guidance and to also conduct investigations into misconduct of leaders in office. So it is a sad thing to note from the, our people that they don't know what the Ombudsman Commission is doing. There are so many things that we do. We do undertake human rights investigations, because at the moment the country doesn't have a human rights commission. So Ombudsman Commission is thought to be responsible. So we have gone out of some of these main functions to do even human rights investigations and all that. And I noticed the public have also mentioned about the directions we have issued on the public funds. It has been a practice that the Ombudsman Commission does since 2002 elections. The direction is issued basically to monitor or control or put a stop to the development grants that which we call the DSIP and PSIP, which are often at under the control of the MPs. So it is we issue the direction for now it's a conditional direction, in the sense that we don't want to stop the payments due to contractors or service providers and all that. So what we do is the Ombudsman Commission, together with the Finance Department and the Office of Rural Development, has organized a team of officers who would vet or certify whatever payments that needs to go through. It comes to this committee, and then they screen it and ensure that the genuine payments can continue. But the basic reason for putting a stop to these funds is because the Ombudsman Commission has a duty to promote and protect democracy. By this, we don't want the sitting member to be using the public funds to have advantage of other candidates. So we would rather exercise that power to ensure that there is a fair playing field where every person has the equal opportunity to be considered for election. So
when the directive is issued, does the Ombudsman Commission have any records of how much each MP has spent over the 5 years and how much is left yet to spend? Is it something that's possible?
This is something that, the funds that are received, DSIP funds, some, we've been hearing some do receive, some don't receive. So yes. That accountability aspect of it rests with the MPs and the DDAs and the provincial administrators. But what we would normally check on is that when there are instances of abuse of these funds, whether it is reported or when we suspect there is abuse of these funds, then the Ombudsman Commission has the duty to investigate into this.
And who can report such cases?
Anybody can report.
Okay.
Anybody can report. Even the public, the people out there should report on instances of abuse of funds. And then, when they register with the Commission, then the Ombudsman Commission then respond to that by conducting investigations. Just going back to another reason why the Ombudsman Commission has to issue directions in election period is because when leaders are using public funds during elections, it can be seen as luring votes or influencing voters, and they can be easily cited for corruption or bribery. That is why we have that duty to even protect the leader. So that's the Ombudsman Commission's duty.
Does it become a concern for the Ombudsman Commission if the funds is not drawn from DSIP or PSIP, from somewhere else, but the actions is still could be considered luring votes by handing out money and because there's been a lot happening. So even if the funds they're using now are not out of the DSIP or PSIP, does that still become a concern for the Ombudsman Commission? Can you act on that?
This, I believe, can be looked at within the laws of the Electoral Commission. They're not supposed to be, given gifts to influence votes, and that shouldn't be allowed. I believe the Electoral Commission laws should cater for that. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll take a break now. You're watching Your Vote 2017, and our guest this evening is Chief Ombudsman Commissioner Michael Dick. We'll continue our discussion about the OCPNG and its work in this election when we come back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Your Vote 2017. The establishment of the regional office for the Ombudsman Commission in the autonomous region of Bougainville is important as Bougainville charts its way forward to a referendum set for 2019. Many say the birth of the autonomous region of Bougainville, and as a young region heading towards political independence, needs institutions like the Ombudsman Commission to ensure that leaders are held accountable. Our journalist on the ground, Fabian Hakalitz, brings us this report from Buka.
On May 12 this year, the Ombudsman Commission of Papua New Guinea opened its regional office in the autonomous region of Bougainville. Now, this is after 11 years since the establishment of the autonomous Bougainville government in 2005. While this is welcoming news for locals who want a corrupt-free Bougainville, it may be a little bit trouble for politicians and public servants who have been involved in corruption practices.
So that it can be investigated properly. So whoever is misusing the funds, they can be investigated quickly, rather than the office in Mosby. So it will be difficult for people to go to Mosby to seek help from the Ombudsman Commission. So
the setting up of the Ombudsman Commission Regional Office comes at the right time when Papua New Guinea enters polling for this year's national election, and also when the autonomous region of Bougainville charters its political future, and that is referendum journey before June 2019. It will provide good governance as part of the autonomous Bougainville government's objective.
Yeah, so that service could be assessed more close by. Since there's been drawdown of powers, it would be a bonus to have such an important office on the ground. It also helps to cut down on costs needed to do work in regards to email, phone calls, etc. Setting up here is also a sign of good governance. It will help to maintain good governance on the ground so that Ombudsman Commission-oriented work would be done under watchful eyes.
The island's President Chief John Momis says the autonomous Bougainville government will support the Ombudsman Commission to ensure leaders are held under scrutiny and to promote good leadership and governance for Bougainville.
It is an important and symbolic occasion for Bougainville. It is particularly the case given that this is the first time the Ombudsman Commission has established a permanent presence in Bougainville.
Chief, where else is the Ombudsman Commission present, apart from what we've just seen?
Yes, thank you, Judy. The Ombudsman Commission has 3 regional offices. We have an office in Kokopo covering the New Guinea Islands, and we have an office in Hagen to cover the Highlands, and we have an office in Ley that covers the Momasa region. Okay. And we are about to open an office for the southern region. For the Bougainville, given the referendums that are coming and the arrangement between the government and the Bougainville government, we had to also set this office there in preparation for whatever the outcome is from the referendum. So these are the 4 offices that we have so far in our different regions. Yeah.
Can you tell us the level of interaction that the public has with these offices in the provinces?
We have these reach out programs that we have in place, and our officers are always going out to the institutions, and they work closely with the public servants. So the interaction is good. You know, we receive a lot of complaints from the people through the regional offices.
Okay.
Yeah. So the leadership cases are referred to the head office, but other administrative complaints are dealt with at the regional offices. Yeah.
Do you get a lot of administrative complaints about what's happening in the provinces with regards to the public service or leaders within the public service?
Oh yes, we do get a lot. We do get so many complaints.
And what would be the most common complaint?
On the administrative front, we get so many complaints in relation to police brutality, and you know, termination of public servants, you know, for whatever reason, and they have reasons to complain, and then so our officers, you know, stand in to, you know, address these issues. So the common ones we receive, there's a, you know, whole range of complaints, but the most common ones are the terminations, non-payment of salaries, of police, you know, brutality, and all this, and that's what we are getting, and that's what our regional officers deal with. But when it comes to leadership breaches, you know, whatever is reported, they assess it, and then they send it to the head office, and then we conduct the investigations from the head office.
Okay, speaking of leaders and investigations, does your office, has your office received annual reports from all our current MPs as we approach polling day?
Yes, that is a fundamental requirement. It's under the Constitution also, and every leader is upon their appointment or election, they have that duty to you know, declare their, you know, declare everything they own. And so far we have covered all the leaders are submitting there.
Okay.
Yes, and we have problems of late submissions and all that, but otherwise everybody is submitting their annual returns.
Is there a penalty for late submissions?
Yes, when there is a late submission, the Ombudsman Commission has no discretionary powers. You know, we just strictly go by the laws, and we can take them to task for that.
Okay. Yes. All right, well, we'll take a break now. You're watching Your Vote 2017. Don't go away. We have an interesting story about how the value of the humble pig rises every election year. See you on the other side. Welcome back to Your Vote 2017. All over Papua New Guinea, pigs are an indication of wealth and status. At election time, the number of pigs bought, sold and slaughtered as gifts rises during the campaign period. In the Western Highlands, pigs are an integral part of the local economy. We found a woman who grows pigs for sale. During the 2012 elections, her pigs sold for 5,000 kina each. The money she made went to pay for university fees for her siblings.
In Yamba, the pigs are serious business. Christine comes from a long line of women who, over the generations, have raised pigs for various purposes. For her, it's a lucrative income source.
Lo election time, I must have like a good price below pig.
During election time, the prices of pigs rise as candidates come looking for gifts to woo voters and build alliances before polling happens. It's become standard practice as ancient customs are blended with 21st century politics in Papua New Guinea.
When people come into a place sing, they don't directly see the money because money is in the pockets, but their eyes are already on the pigs. And if it is a compensation ceremony, when they walk in, they are already settled that that's enough. Or if it is a bride price and the people from the bride's tribe, when they come in and they're big pigs and quite a number of good pigs lined up, they said, something no go.
The average payment for a fat pig that you would like to maintain your standing as a person in the community is around 5,000, 5,500 and 6,000. So you will never find any pig for less than 5,000. You will not find it in the islands.
Christine explains the candidates don't come looking to buy small pigs.
All election man also like him all big pig tas also. Lo work him give him all candidate all kind line where all I give him all. Also look him size lo pig na also can buy him. Mark lo 4,000 5,000 about them also buy him. And legally 2,000 1,000 him no got.
During the 2012 elections, Christine made 15,000 kina from the sale of 3 pigs. Each pig was bought for 5,000 kina by intending politicians. For this election, she won't be selling any of her pigs. They're too small. A pig worth 1,000 kina just isn't good enough for politics.
Okay. Neville, that's one business there that has people squealing to the banks.
Oh, well, anything after elections is good, but with pigs. Sir, what's your take on this?
Would you consider that, it's fisting, it's what we do, but would you consider that, you know,
well, like Scott has said, we are blending the modern culture with the traditional. That, you know, this is an occasion where people want to show their status in the community. So it comes with all these things. So it may be seen as, it depends on how we see it, but it is a way of reflecting a person's status in the community. And if the more gifts, the more food and all this that is provided during the elections, maybe the better it is, you know, because people are always looking forward to this kind of thing. So it's a way of mobilizing people, getting people together, and then start talking about your policies, because you know, they would come expecting some drinks. In the past, you know, like in the coast, you have to provide things like betel nut and all this, in the highlands, sugar cane and all this. But it all helps towards getting people together to, you know, share or inform people of your policies and, you know, your intentions, why you are going into the election. So having to provide food and, you know, and drinks and all this is part of getting people together to sell your ideas.
Okay. Yeah. Well, some people still may hold the opinion that that is a form of inducement of sorts.
Yeah, well, like I said, it depends on how we see it, but it's
a tricky one.
It may be, you know, seen as such, you know, that it's a way of. But I wouldn't think that people would intentionally do that to influence vote. But it is maybe seen as an obligation on the part of whoever the candidate is or the leader, that when he has visitors there, he has this duty to provide food and all that. So I would see it in that context.
Okay. We have a more informed and educated population that's looking towards things like social media platforms to get the information that they want. Is that something that the Ombudsman Commission will be looking at moving forward, as to how to police that and whether there's some infringements on leadership code on social media or things like that? Say for new technologies that are being used now by the young people, you've got leaders who are on social media who are saying things about other leaders Is that an area of concern for the Commission?
Well, it may be looked at within the new law that has been introduced or and passed, and it may also come within the laws of the Electoral Commission if leaders are, if it is taking place within, especially the election period, they are attacking each other, or if the people are saying things to tarnish other people and all that, it may be looked at it within the different laws. But we, Ombudsman Commission, may have an interest in looking at how it can come into provide that guidance where the Commission, from its lawful responsibilities, can handle.
Okay, well, with that comment, we are running out of time on our program tonight, but we're sure to have you back because you'll be providing oversight over the polling and counting period also, so it'd be interesting to find out what your views are after the process is on its way closing down.
Yes.
Well, we've come to the end of the first week of Your Vote 2017, an MTV News production on this year's polls. As we wrap up our coverage of the final week of campaigning on the program, some important reminders. Officially, campaigning ends at midnight on Friday, June 23rd. Polling officially opens across the country at 8 a.m. next Monday, June 26th. Your Vote 2017 returns Monday evening at 7 p.m. when we review the first day of polling across the country. Until then, I'm Neville Choi.
And I'm Titi Gabi. Good night.
Good night.